your experiences in the field as well. So before we begin this webinar with Qfuss, Qfuss is a mentorship platform with a community of experts who guide individuals in their journey. So Qfuss also hosts coaching and workshops on different topics to enhance the skills of students. So I'll drop in their link in the chat section so you all can head out to their website as well and check it out for anyone who's interested. Lovely. So today we have Karishma Nandi with us, mentees for those of you all who don't know. She's currently working at Pocket Aces as the Associate Brand Solutions Associate. So Karishma, can you tell us a little about yourself before we begin the session?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I'm very happy to be a part of this. I wish we had such like mentorship programs when I was in college or in school. So I'm happy that people are taking this initiative, and hi everybody to whoever's attending, taking time out to do this. So yeah, I mean I've been working for the last 4 years. I graduated in 2016. So I started as I was working in an ad tech company, which is very new to me initially, obviously like anybody else. But I always knew that I wanted to get into advertising or the digital side of things. I worked there for about 2.5 years in a company called Media.net, and then I did a little bit of influencer marketing as well for the US market. And now I'm working with Pocket Aces. We basically have a couple of channels. We have Gobble, which is a food and lifestyle channel. We have Filter Copy, which is basically to consume snackable content on YouTube, on Instagram, Facebook, and also Dice Media with web series and longer medium series basically. So yeah, I mean I work with brands mostly. That's my job. I mean client servicing. So we have to ensure that when brands come on board, we are the ones, we are the POCs, basically the spokespeople from Pocket Aces end. So we need to ensure that we understand the brand's needs and find a way to incorporate that into the content that we create. Of course, in a very seamless manner, because we're not creating ads, we're creating seamless integrations, into the content. So I have worked with over 32 brands as of now. Some of them are like market leaders and pretty good brands. So the learning has been immense. And with a little bit of knowledge about influencer marketing that I've done and I'm interested in, probably I feel personal branding could be something that I could definitely help with if anyone's confused or just needs more information about it. So if you want, I can straight away start sharing. Is that okay?
Yes, you can go ahead with it.
Cool. And I'm happy to answer. I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have, even when I'm presenting. I just hope I can manage that. I'll just share the screen.
Sure, no worries. We'll keep the Q&A to the end of the session. So cool, once you're done with the presentation, we can go to Q&A.
Sure. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just going to disable this for now. Okay, so I've tried to keep it very short, very crisp, so that, I'm just trying to picture myself as like in your shoes, maybe like, someone who's like, maybe has people who haven't really started working or don't have a lot of idea about how it is in the market, but just like to give you guys an idea about what it is. So personal branding is, of course, like any other branding, it's, basically to find, it's the practice of like marketing people or like self-packaging, as you may say. So it's something that we've been seeing a lot these days, and it has, of course, it's not like it just happened. It's been there for a while. Celebrities and all of them have a team to market themselves. But today, because of social media, we have a lot of platforms that really allow us to do that. So I'm just going to go back to the previous slide, and that is the first question, and that is, what are you passionate about? Because, for example, if you want to brand yourself, you need to, of course, find a unique selling proposition about yourself so that you are different and people actually find a way to reach out to you, like you expertise in that. So I think that would be my first suggestion as well. Like if you are looking to build your, a personal brand for yourself, like you want to be known as your name. For example, I'm Karishma, so I want to be known as Karishma Nandi, right? So I need to find what is that one thing that makes me different from others, or what is that one thing that really will help me move ahead in the sort of sector that I want to go ahead. So yes, I mean, I've just put down the definition here. What I feel is personal branding. It's the practice of marketing people, and their careers as brands. Of course, it's ongoing. It's something that develops over time. And of course, maintaining a reputation is something that is so important, especially now with the online phase where in every minute, you need to be sensitive, you need to understand what you're saying is absolutely well researched, it's verified. So it's a lot to also remember and to give to your audience. And of course the third one, as I said, it's a form of self packaging. All of us, whether we are right now I'm here, so it's almost like I need to make sure that I'm able to package myself well. That's also in a way a sort of way to look at it. Yeah, so I'll just move on to the next slide. Yeah, so to think about it, it's endless. I've just put down 6 here that that's something that's flourishing right now. But the sectors that you can, not even sectors, you can be anything, and you can build a personal brand about yourself. If suppose I was into comics for a bit, as in I would create comics, and of course I didn't take that up because I wasn't completely passionate about it, but it's something that was unique about me. Not unique really, but it was something that I felt like I could do. So that could be one point. Like, for example, you're on Instagram and you must have come across so many social media influencers, people who do a lot of fashion blogs and fashion blogs on YouTube. They have anything to do with fashion, and you follow them. Like, for example, Komal Pandey. Okay, like that's the one name I can think of. Like, so fashion, you have photography. For photographers, especially for personal branding, of course it's insane, because on Instagram you have like a full feed where you can promote all the pictures that you're taking. You have a website where you can put across all the content, and have a full packaging done on online. Of course there are other sectors like food styling, food bloggers, photography, writing. It can basically be anything. Like, there's no stopping you. It's like that. Like, if you like something, if you're passionate about something, you can just go ahead and create that sort of a platform for yourself. Just to kind of course, like, I am looking at online marketing for personal branding because that's what we've grown up with right now. Because earlier it wouldn't be like that. You had an entire team, your PR team, looking into how a person can be managed. For example, Amitabh Bachchan would have had his team to do that. People still do that, but now we also have the online platforms. So I like to start with social media marketing, which is something that is like currently I think booming. Even for that, it's so important to have like a strategy, as to, for example, if I want to start I want to build my own platform, as in I want to build myself up as a personal sort of an influencer or creator or something like that, to build my own personal brand. Of course, the one thing that I need to think about is what my goal is, who am I reaching out to, what should my content look like, all the planning and publishing, and by the end of it, the analytics part of it, which is why any YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, or even Facebook, they have platforms, they have the backend platform, which actually gives you all the data. So when you are publishing your content, you also get to see what sort of results you're getting out of it. So, which is why you know what worked for you, what did not work for you, so you can optimize accordingly. I wouldn't get into SEO and SEM so much because, of course, these are tools that, you can just, I don't think I can explain that in like 2 or 3 minutes. But of course, if you are building yourself up as a personal brand, like building a personal brand for yourself, so important to also be present in terms of the websites, blogs, because it's something that in India, maybe not so much, but I do know that a lot of social media influencers like Larissa, Akriti Rana, a few that I know that they started off with their own blogs, which is how they could drive traffic to their Instagram and grow to such an extent. But this is also something that I've learned when I was working for the US market, is that a lot of bloggers or influencers, what they have is a very strong website where they are able to send traffic to or from. So that's something very, very important. And lastly, from the online marketing and online perspective, of course, your mentions, the kind of features that you get on other people's pages, that also helps to build your reputation further. We'll move on to how you can actually make money out of this, because of course, like, you may be great at something and you might have that sort of recognition that you get because of your work from your peers or people who follow you. But if you're not being able to make money out of it, then like it wouldn't really be sustainable, right? Because of course we all need to make money for a living. So I'd like to first look at influencer marketing, which is a big thing for you if you're wanting to build a personal brand for yourself. So influencer marketing is very simple if you think about it. It's just marketing, on by the help of somebody who can influence or who's an influencer, someone who creates content or curates them based on the people that are following them. Also, because they are very good and have the expertise on that particular sector or niche. So of course now we have so many people. I follow so many influencers, and I do get influenced by them. You can see them all over. They're on LinkedIn. They're on on LinkedIn. Of course, it's more to do with your career. It's sort of it helps you give direction to what you want to do. On Instagram, you'll have a lot of them posting a lot about more about reviews and products and stuff like that. But again, these are personal things that you would want to also look at. And the best thing is that for brands, it's so important because the brands pay them because of the platform that they have and the sort of audience that follow them. The second I would look at is, of course, blog, website publishing. As a blogger, you would have your website. And for the website, you have space, right? Again, which is what I was talking about when I was working as in an ad tech company. I realized that website owners, publishers make so much money because they have space on their website and the website gets the traffic. But again, this is something that we will need time to work on this. Of course, it doesn't happen overnight. Just because you have a website does not mean you'll be able to monetize it. Of course, it takes years of working on your content, your keywords, and all of that. The third, of course, is branded content. If you're working with brands and making content for them, or in collaboration with them, there's of course money involved mostly because brands are more than happy to, not more than happy, but they of course these are paid collaborations. Fourth is of course talk shows and fests. This is also where they can reach out to a wider audience and they can actually showcase what sort of ideas they have or what they specialize in. So I'm just going to get into more of these four things actually to sort of give you an idea of how things work. So let's look at influencer marketing. Again, for your personal, these are all people who are, they have been able to build a personal brand for themselves. They're known by their names. You can look at Ranbir. Like every time you think of Ranbir or somebody, like for example, Ashna Shroff or Prajakta, you know them by their name and the brand that they, like if you think of Ashna, you'll think of like fashion, lifestyle, or this thing. So, that only shows that you identify the name with those sort of aspects. However, I'd just like to give a very brief introduction into what the three things, how you can segregate influencer marketing further, how brands do it. One is, of course, influencers, like celebrity influencers. They're big. The scale is, of course, massive. They get lots of, the money involved is massive because these are huge campaigns. Of course, because influencer marketing is not something that is very reasonable, as in even for a brand or a person, if you're working with brands, the money involved is big. And of course, that also involves a lot of creative planning and execution, and as simple as it looks, it really isn't that simple. So yeah, that's one where you can see celebrity influencers like Ranbir, Alia, and of course there are so many that you can see. Even for example, you see them on Instagram now that they do create content for brands, or even otherwise, like you see them on TV and of course everywhere. Then there's of course micro influencers. They are now, this is something that's I think relatively new. The people who have really managed to develop like a core audience for themselves, who really follow their basically, for example, if I look at Lisa Mishra, again, somebody who I really like, which is why I've taken these examples. I hope you know of them as well. So she's a singer, and like how she's mentioned on her Instagram, songwriter, and she's also worked on a few Bollywood songs. And I know that people who follow her love her music, love music in general. So that's a sort of like a community, a little community that they have, and brands would love that because they know that if they send out, for example, a Spotify or Apple, not Apple Music, okay, but brands, they're basically related to music or in some way, even boat headphones for that matter. They'll know that if they're reaching out to someone like Lisa Mishra, who's somebody who, if she wears those headphones, people would know that the quality must be great because she loves music, she sings very well. and she has that sort of a branding to her that when it comes to music, she knows what, what it is like. So that's one thing. Again, micro influencers, of course, they are not the collaborations that happen may not happen to a very, very large scale, but these are also they're also very carefully picked so that brands can reach to the right audience. And then you also have social media influencers. They're like, I mean, I know a lot of them now, and they have a lot of followers on their social media platforms. It's not just Instagram, but Facebook, YouTube, of course. And yeah, I mean, even for them, I've worked with social media influencers, so I know that, again, the marketing campaigns that happen for them, or even in general for them to create some sort of content and to go ahead with that, like, it takes so much planning and so much of this thing. Like, for example, if you look at Prajakta, she's come to that level because of her consistency and the sort of quality that she has with the work. And yeah, let's move on to the next one. I think I spent a lot of time on this slide. But yeah, I mean, just to give you guys a brand perspective of like how this sort of market works, what they look at. They look at, of course, the kind of follower count they have, which is really sad that it works like that. But honestly, it is, because by the end of it, there's ROI, of course, that is, how much would they be actually making out of it? The sort of profit, or what sort of audience do they get back? Maybe to buy the product, to download a certain app, or anything of that sort. Now you can look at follower count, engagement rate. If you're seeing on Instagram, people are commenting, and if a brand, for example, if you see somebody, one of the influencers with a packet of maybe a product, like a L'Oreal product or something, and you see that no one's reacting to it, nobody's like asking any questions about the product, or not even questions, or just the mention of it, or in some way reacting to it. If that doesn't happen, then you know that, okay, people are not really engaging with the content. So engagement rate is super important. Of course, controversies, nobody wants to work with people who've been part of controversies, again, which is where branding comes into play. You need to be able to maintain that sort of reputation where people are looking at you with a lot of, they have a sense of credibility attached and stuff like that. Type of content is super important. If you're looking at Cadbury as a brand and Knorr, again, it's two very different things. A Cadbury could go up to many influences, but a Knorr, on the other hand, which is soup, or homemade soup or stuff like that, they probably go to a more food blogger, or sort of this thing. Yeah, how creatively you are able to present their content is, of course, very important. You may have the audience, but you may not be able to creatively or in any way, basically be able to spell out the brand objective in some way. And yeah, so these are a few things that brands look at. Just to give you guys another this thing of like how blogs and websites work, of course, as you can see, I've mentioned Akriti Rana also earlier. I know that they all started out with their blogs and websites, and because they had that sort of traffic coming in then, at that time, I think this was a few years back that they started this. Today, they have that sort of reach even on, a newer, relatively new platform like Instagram, for example. Also, Neil Patel, he has built, a complete brand out of himself, which is like, he's so credible in the marketing industry. So yeah. And of course, branded content. I'm sure you guys have come across branded content on Instagram or any other platform. It's almost all over the internet right now. But as you can see, it's not always about them carrying out a product or wearing it or doing anything. Ashna Shroff has actually worked now, and she's come up with her own line with a brand. So the collaborations go into that sort of a level as well. And if you're really passionate about something, like for her, it's probably fashion lifestyle, you can, by the end of it, get to a stage where you are able to create that sort of products. So I see that as a huge sign of success for somebody who is in that sort of a sector. And yeah, of course, again, talk shows and fests. These are also places where, I mean, I watch a lot of Ranveer's videos on YouTube, and I know that he has that sort of reach as well. So for somebody who's probably from another sector like Barkha, we've worked with her a lot for filter copy content, and Barkha Singh, like, she's a part of web series also. mini series. And so, yeah, I mean, for her to also get to Ranveer's this thing, there's also, that exchange of audience, which is, of course, very, very important. And for her to maintain her reputation, even when she's on the chat show. Again, even Tanmay Bhatt, these are all people who've actually been able to maintain their reputation online, I would say, as a comedian or somebody who's creating content basically for people. Just a couple of pointers that I would probably like to share if you are somebody who's wanting to get to that stage where you are able to build credibility for yourself and, the branding around yourself for yourself. One is, again, find out what you want to be known for, which is so important for me. Again, like I said, I did try and see if, something like the cartooning thing would work for me. But again, I realized it's not something I'm fully passionate about, but you could be. I mean, it could be anything, like I said, could be even something like creating, a card for yourself and basically taking that further as a business plan and, building that sort of branding around yourself. Second is, of course, target audience on social media is something so important. If you don't find the right audience, if you are a food blog, if you are into food, but your audience is completely out of food, like they really don't engage with that sort of an audience, then that's the time you need to find out how to get to the right, how to make sure that your content reaches the right audience. Of course, there are a lot of tools and processes involved in that as well. When you dive deeper into it, you find out all about it. Third, like I said, focus on quality and consistency. If I am a creator and people love my content that I post on the internet, taking example of Instagram, because I mean, Instagram is crazy for, personal branding, influencer marketing and everything. Again, so if I'm posting a piece of content today that people love, but I'm not being able to keep up, like I don't post for another month, I lose the number of followers, which is really sad. But that's the state of the situation right now, that you may really lose all those people, and they'll find another person who might be great at it, because all of us have some sort of qualities to, for us to stand out. But it's those who actually find it and want to work hard to create that sort of um, create recognition for themselves. Fourth is, of course, to optimize. You need to know what sort of content is working for you. You can start very small. You can just start by, if you're an artist, you can just make a painting and put it up online and see what sort of response you get. And then you can do like an A/B test. If you think that, oh, I'm great at painting, but I'm also very good with my cooking, post both, see what people react to, and then you figure out, you can optimize that, based on what sort of content people are also enjoying and you enjoy as well, because again, sustainability. So yeah, that's about it. Created. I hope I haven't. It's not too less or too much, but yeah.
Lovely. I think that was absolutely perfect because I think students also got an exact idea and was very relatable as well. Thank you so much, Karishma, for
Thank you.
making a presentation and also helping us out get a better idea about building a brand. Lovely. So, mentees, if you all have any questions, you all can post it in the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen. So that way we can, go through a couple of questions that you all have in mind.
Yeah.
So Ashmita is asking one question. I get confused between a blog and a vlog. Can you explain, is it the same or different?
Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I'm audible, right? Okay. So honestly, this is something that I used to be confused about too. I think till the time I got obsessed with YouTube, because like I love YouTube. But again, it's actually pretty simple, because a blog is something that is more text heavy, like you blog about something. It could be, again, if you're a travel blogger, you have your website, you have Instagram, you have basically all the platforms where you can write about your experience. You can type it out and publish it. But a vlog, on the other hand, is more visual. You actually sort of see the experience. Like, for example, if I go to Jaipur, I can talk about where all like these are the places that I've been to. This is how my experience was. I type it out and I publish it. That's a blog. But a vlog, on the other hand, you can actually see me carrying the camera or somebody else recorded. It's just basically a visual experience that I can take you to those places, and I publish that on YouTube. So it's fairly like, once you get it, like the confusion completely goes, and I hope that I was able to explain it. And yes, it's not the same thing. It's definitely different. So yeah.
Lovely. So Nived is asking, what things to keep in mind when you are at baby stages of personal branding?
Okay. So honestly, a lot of people think that they are in their, in the baby stage, and that's absolutely okay for you to take your time to fully understand if that is something you want to take up or not. Um, if you can give me an example or like of something that you want to or you are interested in, I could probably answer this question better. But I'll just take an example of food, for example, because it's something that's so common. Not common, but like, there are so many channels involved and all of that. So I would say that just keep creating it, but also know that a lot of people are doing what you're doing. So try and see how you can innovate, add that sort of a touch that makes you stand apart. Like, for example, if you're going with a recipe of ice cream, try and see how you can get something else to do with it. Like, maybe fried ice cream or something. These are things, by the way, like they exist. So try and see how you can make yourself stand out a bit, add your touch to it, personalize it further. Because, of course, now everyone's on the internet, everyone's creating content. You just need to know what you can do better than the others and work on that.
Okay, makes sense. So somebody is asking an interesting question. How can we speed up the process organically? I understand it takes time if we start today and I take 5 years, so it may feel slow. Like Prajita took time
Yeah.
because YouTube was not known back then when not everyone knew it. So they want to know how to speed up the process of like personal branding.
To be honest, the answer that I can think of and I fully believe in is, one, you have to be consistent. Like, you need to post regularly. You need to completely, basically, first of all, have the knowledge. Like, for example, on Instagram, getting, knowing fully about what sort of hashtags you can use. The basic objective of hashtags, of course, tracking as well as getting, more audience to your this thing, using the right and relevant hashtags. That is important. But also being super consistent. Like, you need to post probably every 2 days. You never know what, I'm not going to say it goes viral, because of course that's a very, very, like, it happens, but it happens very rarely also to people. Like, it doesn't happen to everybody. But of course, you need to know that, what can work, and maybe one thing works and it catches fire, and that takes you forward. So my suggestion would be, of course, to be very, very consistent and work on your quality. If, for example, you're seeing that, okay, I'm posting regularly, but I'm not really getting what you feel should be, you should be getting, take feedback, ask your friends, ask. So maybe try to, of course, engage with your audience as much as possible. You never know what comes out of it. Like, you post something on the internet and you find out so many answers to it. Like, your audience can help you find your way. So
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. So Arshavi is saying, do you work with influencers in personal branding?
So I have worked with influencers, like, I mean, content creators. I honestly don't like the word influencers because it also has a negative aspect to it. But I call them content creators. But I know influencer marketing is the umbrella term. But yeah, I have worked and worked in both India and the US market. Like I said, influencer marketing in the US market, but like proper talent work in India with brands. And also, like, right now we work with actors, because filter copy is, we create content by the end of it, and we of course need the best actors for that. Again, these are digital actors. And yeah, I mean, it's quite fun to work with them, even for brands. When we're working for, like, with talent, it's super fun because each of them have their own style to it. So yeah.
Okay. So somebody is also asking, how can photography be market? Like Falguni is asking, so
Marketing.
is there any idea that you have?
So again, photography, I mean, right now, like I said, you have all of these platforms. It's in a way giving you a platform to market your content. So, you can use them to your benefit. You can, of course, have, because it's photography, it can be used on various platforms. Like, you can have your own uh, website where you can create like a photography, you can have an online exhibition these days. for example. So you can reach out to so many more audience, like so much more audience than what you probably feel you can. So use your, I would say, just be present on all mediums, because like photography, maybe not so much YouTube, but yes, Instagram for sure. You can get so much exposure out of that. And by the end of it, you can also reach out to brands. Like brands would be, they are actually, we feel like they are not, but they're always looking out for people who will help them with their shoots and stuff like that. So you never know what clicks.
That's definitely true. Somebody's asking how to become a brand manager without going to management colleges.
Okay, so I have not been to a management college. So I am not, I of course encourage education as much as possible, but I'm also further saying that, experience matters a lot, because I've done my BMM, which is mass media. And then I started working because I felt I was given this suggestion because I was getting into the ad space, that experience matters a lot, because that's where you kind of learn so much on the job. So I don't think you need to go to a management school, but again, if you want to, it's totally up to you. It's a personal choice, I think. And you can become a brand manager. You just, I would say, studying branding is something that also happens on the job, because every company has their own style of working, but it happens. But I would say maybe there are so many online courses available right now, so much to learn even on YouTube. Learn from people's experience. If you know somebody who's doing that, have a chat with them, and they could definitely help you. That's what I would do if someone would be working when I was in college, or when I was confused. I would just go up to them, ask them questions, because their experience will help us, understand what
Lovely.
would
Like
work.
networking is equally important. And I think
Network
nowadays
is
there's so
very
many
important.
platforms like
Yeah,
LinkedIn. And as you mentioned, you can just drop somebody a DM or just directly approach them
yeah,
and have a conversation.
yeah.
Makes
And
sense.
actually, the thing is that you always feel like, oh, they're not going to respond. It's okay. Maybe most times they won't. But a lot of times people do also. So that's
Very
cool.
true. Very true. Do you have any couple of books or any blogs or anything that you read that you could recommend to the students to build their personal brand?
So I am not a reader, which is a bad thing. I have, I am somebody who's always on the internet. I am on YouTube all the time. So of course, I follow them very closely. And because I've had the chance to work with brands, I think that's also, it comes in handy now when I'm talking to somebody, or, helping out with suggestions and stuff like that. But there are lots of books online about it, books online and offline both. You can just study so much on the internet. But I always would prefer, hands, like if you're working, like you get your hands dirty with the work, that will definitely teach you a lot more, like it has to me, because I never read a book. I did study marketing and stuff like that in college, but those things help. But I feel, of course, experience is something that's a lot more helpful.
Very true. Somebody's asking how to discover our own unique brand style.
Okay, so brand style is like, it's a term which is, of course, like, to have your own style and your brand, which is, it has to be there. Like I'm not sure if you guys know also. I think you all would. The people who I spoke about, they're pretty popular on the internet. So I'm just going to take up one example that I can quickly think of, and that is Komal Pandey, because she's an Instagram sensation, and she has such a unique style to her fashion. Even a person like me, probably I am not maybe so much into fashion or whatever, but it's so aesthetically pleasing to watch, even, and to just appreciate that sort of creativity. So I think it's all about that. Like, she has found her style. It's very rare to actually have so much talent and have that sort of style also, and like be able to showcase that. But yeah, style is so important too. Having your personal touch to it is important. Style will happen, if it has to.
Very true. Uh, so Blossom is asking, recently Arctic Fox came up with a really impressive ad with influencer Carrie
Carry
Minati.
me.
Yeah, what do you think how advertising done? What do you think about how advertising is done by brands is going to change after this?
So I haven't seen this ad in particular, so I'm not exactly sure about what the advertising, like what the advertisement was about. But again, I think that's what I was talking about as well. Like, social media influencers, brands are reaching out to them because they know that a lot of the young audience relate to, these influencers. And of course, for example, think about it this way. I haven't seen the ads, so I don't know if it was distributed on TV and stuff like that. But you see it on TV, and you also see it on Karishma Nandi's, profiles, for example, handles. So you're reaching out to both the audience, like people who are watching TV. People get familiarized with him, but you're also capturing that market, that audience that he has on his Instagram or his social media, which I feel is amazing. Like you're just like reaching out to so many people at once. And yeah, I'm not sure about the ad, so I really can't comment on that
No
without
worries.
having seen it.
Yeah, no worries. So can you give us like a couple of like pro tips to build a personal brand in like very quickly to just help out the students because we have a lot of students who are college going students or school students or young professionals who are looking to build their brand. So if anybody's just looking to put it out there, a couple of points according to you, before we wrap up this session.
So I would suggest jump into it, like dive right in. So I was always curious about, I mean, of course, we are all on Instagram and all of that. It's fine. You just sign up and you do that, right? But for me, I really wanted to explore what it was like to get, what it was like to get into the web part of it, which is to have your own blog, for example. So I did that this year after so many years of working, not so many years, but 4 years of working. I finally went ahead and I did it, and I've learned about WordPress and stuff like that. So and I learned so much when I was doing all that. I even like tried to create some ads online. So everything is so easy, and now that we have so much time that we are sitting at home, I mean, all of us are working or going to school in some way or the other, like online, but we still have time, right? So I would just suggest that just jump right into it. If you want to start your blog, start it. Like maybe, of course, there is some sort of investment that will come that you would require, especially because if you want to learn how to not just grow organically, but also try and run some search ads, display ads, which are all going on right now on the internet. I would suggest jump right into it. Like, don't think about it constantly. That's what I used to do earlier. That would be my tip, because when you're on it, you learn so much more about it. And whenever you stop or you're confused, go on to YouTube and add that query there. You will get your answers. It's very simple now.
Very true. So I love that, Karishma said, just do it. Like whatever you
Yeah,
want to do, just go for it. I think that's the best piece of
dive
advice.
right in.
So
Yeah.
can you tell us a day in the life of, before the whole COVID situation? How was work like as an associate brand solution?
Okay, so my work is, I think it's super challenging. I like that, but of course, sometimes it can get pretty scary because, like you are working with brands. There is, of course, these are paid collaborations, and there's so much of expectations from both, from the brand's end as well as from your end also. Like I do have, you want to work with good brands, also have good people who you're working with. So for me, I would say I start, of course, if I'm going to work, it depends. If I have a shoot day, then I'm on the set. We usually shoot, of course, we don't shoot in our office. We either shoot in our in-house studio for a channel which is Gobble, or if it's a filter copy video or a dice talkies, or some sort of basically video content which is going out like a narrative, then we shoot elsewhere, like in a proper set. So if it's a shoot day, then I'm on set, and I just have to make sure that everything from the brand point of view, for example, if I'm working with one brand, I need to make sure that there are no other brand mentions visually. If I'm, for example, give me a brand name.
Um, um, I think you're partner with a lot of like watches, maybe like something like
Yeah,
Titan,
okay.
something. Yeah.
Okay, now let's consider Nike. Okay, a
Okay.
general. I don't want to name my brands because like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. But again, like let's just take Nike's example. If you're working with Nike, I need to make sure that of course there are no Adidas, there's no Puma, there's no the same people have it all over the t-shirts. So
Right.
that's that, and we need to make sure that according to the script, because we all have a script, right? Like we write the content and then we execute it. So we also have to make sure that everything is going as per the script, because brands of course want to make sure that their brand messaging is coming across seamlessly in a good manner. There's no sort of vulgarity involved, nothing. So all of those checks are things that I need to make sure that does not happen. Even otherwise, if I'm not on set and I'm in my office, then I'm probably on calls with brands, figuring out how to execute a project. Yeah,
Lovely. That sounds so interesting and so nice that you get to network with different kinds of people. Your job sounds so challenging.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Actually, to
So,
be honest, earlier when I was just starting out, I was not a person who'd like to get on calls. I was very underconfident, and because of course you really don't know a lot, right, when you're starting, because
true.
everything is so new. You're learning every day. Till today, I'm learning, but the confidence comes gradually. It's just that learning is immense when you're working with different people every day. It's like, okay, you pick up some good thing from every this thing, and of course you will have a lot of times when you're just the challenge is extreme, but again you get past it. So that's just part and parcel of the
Lovely.
this sort of market.
Yeah. So we look at one last question before we wrap up. We spoke about the do's and what you should be doing to build a personal brand. Is there anything according to you that should be like a don't? Like don't do this when you're trying to build a personal brand. Anything that comes to
Oh,
your mind?
yeah, I mean, if you are not authentic, that's a problem, because I mean, it can take you to a certain level. Maybe you can get, you if you're copying somebody else's style, and I know people do that. Like, it's very unfortunate, but there are people who actually just like copy. Oh, this works. Let's pick it up. Again, they might be very good at picking that thing up, but it's not going to take them very far, because people at some point will realize, okay, this is not authentic. This is not something that is unique to this person, and then you just start getting a lot of hate. And honestly, right now internet can be very very very
Very true.
very difficult place if you are doing that. So then they just go into a complete hiding zone, which is so unnecessary. So just be true to yourself, personalize it the way you think will work for you, keeping like your future in mind. Don't think, okay, how do I get past the next 5 months? Think about it from like a 5-year plan, which is again too much for the internet because it's so dynamic. But think about it from a longer this thing, that will I still be doing this in the next 2 years or next 3 years? That sort of lens, maybe.
Lovely. Just one very good question. How to network effectively?
So I think that completely depends on, uh, first you need to be at the right place at the right time, to be actually be able to come across people who will help with your, build your network. Second is be relevant, because if you're talking to somebody, for example, if I'm just taking, for me, like for me to talk to a brand manager or like a head of marketing would be relevant for me, because that's my industry and I would like to know more about it. But if I go up to her and ask her personal questions, that's not going to help with our networking at all. So your questions need to be relevant, so that you can network with that person better. Like, you can actually build that sort of a reputation for yourself. You are approachable in case of anything, and so is she or he. So yeah, just be relevant. I feel like, if you're asking the wrong questions to a person, then it's just not going to help with the
Love.
relationship you build or the rapport.
Makes
Like,
sense.
that
Makes a lot of
happens
sense.
with clients also, because a lot of people tend to get very very friendly very early, so then they're just like, no no no, like we're not here to kind of build a personal relationship. So that should be avoided, I feel, unless, I mean, if it's coming from both ends, which is fine, but sometimes
Very
it
true.
gets
And sometimes
pushy
people
from
don't
one
even
side.
realize how forward should you be and how to be
Yeah,
professional while networking as well. So I think that
yeah,
makes a lot of sense and opens a lot of eyes to
yeah.
students as well.
And one thing I would probably suggest is shadow a lot of people. Like, if you're going for meetings or whatever, maybe sometimes if it's too early for you, like, if you've not experienced that, just observe. Like, what I would do is I would not open my mouth if I didn't know that, if I didn't know what I was going to say, or, probably I didn't have the idea. I would just listen, so that next time if I'm there in the same situation, I know how to take it forward. So it's okay
Makes
to be
sense.
silent
That's
initially
very
and
good
just like
advice.
absorb.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Karishma, for sharing that. It was a very informative session. Thank you. Thank you so much, Karishma. I think the mentees also absolutely loved it. And thank you for answering the questions as well. I can see somebody
Thank
asking for a
you.
LinkedIn ID. I think they can directly find you on LinkedIn at Karishma
Yeah,
Nandi. And
yeah.
for those
Feel
who
free
want
to connect.
mentorship, we have put in the Qfuss link in this in the chat section, so you can definitely go and sign up to Qfuss as well, because you all can connect to amazing mentors like Karishma. So Karishma, a last few words before we wrap up the session for the students who have attended the session.
And I mean, it was pretty exciting. Like, it's something that, I mean, I hope I've been able to share something that helps in terms of like guiding you guys better. But yeah, just feel free to connect, and everyone's there to help. So yeah, and I'm happy that there is such a platform, which is so important. Like, I wish we had that when we were younger. Like, I don't want to talk like an auntie, but really, this did not exist like 7 years back when we needed help with like, there was career counseling, but not in such a manner. So yeah, I think that's great, and y'all should be more active in such this thing, because you also get to meet each other in some way. Like, you can pick up names and reach out to them or learn from each other's experience. So I think you should totally go ahead with this, and I'm glad people are taking time out to do such things and attend these sort of sessions also. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much, Karishma. We're going to end it on that note that, just do it. If you want to, build your personal brand, just go for it. I don't think Karishma could have said it any better. So thank you so much, Karishma, for coming once again for the
Thank
webinar.
you.
All the best to you as well. And hopefully
Thank
we'll
you
see
so
you for many
much.
more webinars upcoming months.
Yeah, hope so. Bye bye. Thank you
Good
so much,
night. Good
guys,
night,
for
mentees.
attending.
Have a great day. Take care.
Bye bye.